Hi, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be talking about optimity. And optimity is a dictionary word, which means the state of being best. And at our company, what we're really pushing on is the new frontier of changing how employee success can be coached digitally, scalably, and personalized in a way that you can really do more with less. So, the concept of doing more with less is really important in this era. And as busy HR managers, after you've hired your best talent, now it's really a matter of ensuring that they have the right tools, that you have the right system to scale it to support them 24/7. And the first problem that you see is that from different levels, from employees, managers, partners, and the CEO, you are, as a manager of people, you're getting multiple demands from all over the place. And people have great ideas. But then this amount of ideas with all the different types of scheduling and people working from home, there's a lot of flex schedules now, different locations. It's really hard to coordinate. It becomes more and more of a logistical issue. And adding on top of that, you're also required to do more, right? So that's everything from accessibility to languages to, you have to do financial wellness education, pension education. There's some regulatory requirements for everything from safety um, to harassment to new technology, ensuring that people are on the same system. There's different requirements. So if that's not enough, there are other parts that you're just not going to be able to scale, or you just don't have the headcount to scale. So lots of times with growing organizations, the growth of the employees outpace the growth of the HR department. And in mature companies, as most of you know, the ratio of the number of employees to HR is anywhere between 50 to the hundreds. I've seen some companies with a really almost a 900 employees to one type of HR type of ratio. So that's really about doing more with less, and how are you able to not only be administrative in terms of payroll and using technology that way, but also in supporting these employees, because now one-on-one conversations just may not be feasible. Then, if you want to be really good at what you're doing, you need to report it up and also communicate it across and down. And in order to be better ourselves, you need to know where your numbers are, right? This is kind of the campaign of knowing your numbers and understanding what those numbers mean. And most of your people managers are not trained in the field of dashboard building or data analytics, which then brings on the problem of, okay, well, who's supporting that? Who's helping you building those dashboards? You know which employees are in trouble, which ones should deserve extra attention, and how do you improve your own initiatives, right? How do you get more out of your training? So instead of really, I want to introduce you a new notion. So now that we know these problems, and I'm sure all of you are like, yep, I get it. This is what I do. This is the stuff I'm dealing with. Now give me solutions. I want to introduce the notion of actually not doing more with less, but doing better with less, right? It's not actually about working more hours or just a little bit harder, just to have more conversations in a day. I'm actually talking about a real systematic change. And that's really what we do every day here at Optimity. With employee success, what you're able to do is to really make everyone's life easier. All those around you, yourself, and technology really is a good way to embrace that. So when we talk about all these solutions, I want to keep you kind of in the frame of mind of ideas about drilling down a little deep into some of the analytics and going into specific cases. And these cases, I'm going to highlight three altogether. The first one I'm going to highlight is going to be they're all our clients, but the first one I'm going to do is a larger corporation called PwC. We're going to talk about their specific use cases and how are they using a lot of grassroots type of initiatives to drive outcomes for employee success coaching, type of peer-to-peer type of usage. I'm also going to use a government organization, more of a public organization, Ontario Centres of Excellence. And it's really interesting what they are doing here because they're multiple locations, 9 different locations, managed by a very efficient and small HR department. So we're going to talk about how they're managing a dispersed workforce. And the last one I'm going to talk about is CST. And CST consultants, they're interesting because they have a call center, right? They have a wider range of average age. And they've previously done lots of wellness and training, type of invest a lot of dollars into training salespeople outside, inside, managing all those. And it's really about a cultural story and how are they able to ramp that up and make their lives easier. So, yeah, we're going to dig really deep into that. But before that, we're going to pull up and talk about some guiding principles. The first guiding principle I'm going to talk about is about how do you get that engagement? You probably have already guessed. To get real engagement, you need to impact people and connect to them personally and emotionally. And being able to do that on a low HR to the high employee type of numbers, you need to go grassroots. Going grassroots means that you need to recruit champions across the organization, right? These are not just the people that you sit next to within your HR department or within the leadership department, right? You need to get the different silos, different locations. They don't have to be very senior. They don't have to be all partners or VPs or principals. This could be like a senior manager somewhere or even a senior analyst associate. I'm going to talk about a few examples in PwC how they are doing this, but it's really important because all of these people have a certain circle of influence around people that they sit. So it's important to leverage them. Also, when you do leverage these people, what it does is that actually is very empowering. It gives people the sense and the ability and the autonomy to lead. And this is leading from the grassroots level. And then it also decentralizes the effort, right? And you say, oh, this may be a part where everything falls apart because everyone's trying to kind of pedal in their own decision, pedal kind of their own ideas and their own goals. But it's no longer like that if you are able to actually use technology or use some sort of system. You don't necessarily have to use a platform like ours. You can actually still do the same type of implementation with just emails and spreadsheets and reporting and having conversations, but it is a little bit quite a bit more onerous, but you can still practice the same principles, right? So these are really good guiding principles. What it does is that when it centralizes the coordination and the results, when you're able to see, hey, the sales department, when they were able to kind of champion their people to take more of effort to visit their clients on site. Oh my gosh, they now are able to get their employee success. Their employees are feeling better. And that result had risen by 44%. Whereas we can kind of share that type of thinking towards marketing and how they're doing. And then when you get this camaraderie and kind of competition, all centralized in one specific results tab or results type of leaderboard, then it becomes really interesting. And that's where technology really comes in. It's so powerful because you get to see it all in one place. It's not biased. It's not really opinion driven. It's very data driven. So go grassroots, get those champions, allow them to make some leadership decisions, allow them to come up with some ideas. allow them to go implement those, but then centralize the coordination and the results reporting. Another great principle to think about is to really think about how you can go mobile. Instead of chaining people to their desk for a long time, we all are kind of on the go, really busy. We just have this great habit of checking our phone every few minutes, and then now with wearables, it's becoming kind of even more closely tied system. And when going mobile, there's a couple of nuances in here too, because although everyone has mobile, the devices are different. So I would encourage you to go with a system, a technology that allows you to bring your own device. So not just tied to iOS, not just tied to iOS and Android, but to be able to be on anything. So, for example, we support everything from iOS, Android, Amazon, Fire devices. We do a BlackBerry. 10% of our users come from their government contracts, and then we also have mobile web for like the Microsoft devices. So it's people can bring whatever devices they want, and that's fine. And that's the same kind of on the wearable side too. So you can do everything from the Apple Watch, the Fitbit, to whatever it is that people want. We do 250 different devices, but I think it's really important to let people choose, because you want the same type of experience, but you do want it to go to them where it's more personal, where they're happy checking it. And that brings me to another point, is about you don't want to bombard them with all types of everything all the time, right? Because then it becomes a burden, and it's really hard to be efficient when you're always being interrupted. So you need a smart system with a element of AI that helps you get the right information at the right time. And that's the type of thinking that goes into kind of the Google Now. And what it allows you to do is it decreases a lot of the clutter, right? You can kind of reduce the emails, reduce the announcements that don't really matter. You want to give people push notifications with the right information. So you can say, okay, I want this type of, I want the salespeople that go continue on the sales train. I want the salespeople to feel happier when they talk to their clients. So I know that you're going on, usually that they meet their clients between, you have something scheduled between 2 o'clock and 3:30. Then before you go in, it's a little quick reminder saying that, hey, smile before you go in, or do a little happy exercise, or be more open, do an open posture, do a power posture before you go into a stressful meeting. And that brings not only some sort of, oh, okay, you're here to support me as an employee, but it's also giving me the right information at the right time on my phone. It doesn't really matter where I am. I could be like on my way into the meeting, and it's like, oh my gosh, okay, good. I should remember to breathe, remember to smile. Okay, I'm ready. Now I'm going to go have a great meeting. So it reduces, whereas people, when an email comes in at that time, hey, like, it's very unlikely that that employee will read through a densely worded email, and it's really also hard for you to time that email to send it at the right time for each individual employee, right? So you're really relying on this. You should really look at technology to be able to help you do that, because our technology does that, but there's lots of other type of tools out there that could help you implement even just one of these three things. Go flex. Oh gosh, right? This is a big trend in all the industry now. We know there's a lot of efficiency with flexible working policies, right? You get more productivity, more profits. People really feel more connected, engaged, right? It's like, oh, I get to work from home sometimes, but it becomes a real big logistical issue for the HR department to coordinate any sort of offerings. So, um, I want to suggest a few things, and I think you do need technology to be able to do this, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you look at it. I like it. But when you allow people to go flex, don't go halfway, go all the way, right? Give them all the options. Think about it as a Netflix. type of thing. So you do want to give people lots of options. They can do this, they can do that. They can choose to do emotional intelligence training, or they can choose to do something physical, or they can choose to upgrade their knowledge, right? Then upgrade their sales knowledge. But whatever it is that you do, that they do, you should have a centralized attendance tracking, right? You can do this through Excel sheets again. But again, I wanted to talk about how it's great to put it in all one place. And systems like Optimity does that automatically. And what you're trying to do here is that when you have that centralized place to view all the attendance, then it gives you a much better picture, and you're able to actually spot the people that are not participating in this, and then really support them, because those are the people that you should be spending more time on. It's not the people that are like already actively involved. That's great. Let them access whatever they want, right? It's these super engaged type of like Netflix users. Let them watch as many movies type of, right? For us, it's like minute-long e-learning modules. Let them consume that, and let them consume that on their own terms. But for the people that are not consuming it, then that's when you spend active effort on going after them. This is talking about doing better with less. On-demand content, we talked a little bit about this too. The great thing about on-demand content, again, it's the 24/7 support, right? So not everyone is stressed out during office hours. Actually, oftentimes that type of stress comes at 5:30 on Thursday afternoon when you have to get something out to your client. Like it comes at like 8 o'clock if in your IT department when something has blown up in a server, right? Like it comes from all over the time, all over locations. So you need having a good technology set really helps people self-serve their own support. It's really kind of like a 24-hour line where they can kind of press the SOS, and go get the content that they need without really feeling embarrassed or burdensome too. And going flex also means a lot of people are not in the office, not physically in the office, which is thinking about the context where you are uh, in a let's say you're in a very stressful situation, and you're taking a call that's outside with a vendor, for example, outside the office setting. And after that, you're very frustrated, but you don't have a colleague next to you, or over the next office, or anywhere really within reach to just really talk about it. So thinking about what type of content, what type of structures do you have on there that allows people to um, access, right? Everything from de-stressing to talking like socially, to getting the resources. That's when they're not physically in the office. So when you think about flexible working policies, it's really important to think about the now context freedom that people have, and now what they would like to uh, the library, and the kind of range of needs that they have. So I suggest in going with a system that's very holistic, that has uptime of like 100%, and that does have a lot of options for people to go through in their own pace, and has that centralized attendance tracking that allows you to kind of pinpoint the people who are not engaging. That brings me to another very important concept to how people engage with content. Habits are really built with mini drip type of little building blocks, right? Everything from how, when you're listening to me, how you sit. Take a second to just look at how you're sitting, right? It's built up of like, oh, okay, so like, are you actually, is your spine properly stacked? Is your both feet on the floor, right? Are you looking at this in the right height, or are you leaning back? Like those things, that's your habit. But all these little habits things is built up over time. It's your little movements here and there, and And that has huge impact on your back pain, has huge impact on your energy, has huge impact on even your productivity, the amount of blood flows. So I can't, in order to kind of fix it, to change your habit, I have to go mini. I have to go talk about one element at a time, right? Just as when you're in a yoga studio, your teacher will say, like, how are you feeling in your stomach? Is that tight, right? Like, or you have to go through, or like, how are you thinking? Is your mind clear? I have to go mini and be very specific about what that habit is and how do I kind of get you to achieve that in your natural state. So I really love it when people break things down into something applicable, something useful, and something that captures your attention, right? Because we're all busy. We're all busy juggling 10 million things. So if I'm asking you to go for a 1K run, right? Not even 5K, just a 1K run at lunch, you're gonna be like, oh, I have so many things. I have to do this and do that. I have to go home, right? Like all these different things. You can't get their attention. But if I say, hey, this time when you eat your lunch, just make sure that you suck in your stomach and you're sitting properly. You're like, okay, I can do that. But then when you do that, for 21 days, let's say, then it becomes a habit and you no longer think about it. It just happens regularly. So that's how you capture the attention of the busy. It boosts the likelihood of employee engagement. Also do it when it's contextually relevant. So you want people to engage when they're in whatever context they're in, right? So we just before talked about when people are not in the office, when people are not in, really in the gym or anything like that. So if I say, hey, make sure, like, let's do some, we all know that strength training is really good, right? We need to pump some iron. But if I say, okay, why don't you go get like a 15 pound dumbbell and then do a couple arm curls with the dumbbell? Are you going to do that? No, right? Because why? You don't have the equipment, right? It's not contextually relevant to you. But if you want to boost employee engagement with that type of stuff, you can say, hey, let's do an arm dumbbell with your phone. You're like, oh, how do I do that? Well, it's very mini, it's very easy, and we're using the front-facing sensor to sense when it's actually tapping your phone. So you're like, oh, this is different, this is new. But it's so much more likely that the employees will engage. And once they get into the habit of doing that, they're like, oh, okay, I can do this at the gym too. Like, I basically have started you on this kind of journey of engaging and building better habits. A lot of these micro habits lead to big macro results. So that's everything from when people wake up to when they eat. We all know that it's all these very small decisions that add up to these huge compound type of results. Everything from healthy fidgeting to when we absorb information. Like, for example, right now, as you're listening to me, take on the habit of taking out a piece of paper and just like jotting down the key points, right? Just this micro habit of like translating what you are hearing or what you're seeing into writing will help you retain from 40% of the material to 90% of the material. So if you do that consistently over the next month, the next year, next 30 years, your results are going to be massively different from the next person who's not doing that. So yeah, please go ahead and do that. The last thing I'm going to talk about in terms of a guiding principle is to really champion for being data-driven. There's a big difference in corporations that use data to make decisions to people that just kind of sit, because data is everywhere, but it kind of, a lot of people don't really put that into use. And I'm definitely a data analyst. I came from, doing 8 years of data analytics within pharmaceuticals and the health industry, which is very scientific, and I love it, right? Like I love all that stuff. But I think that happens with employee success too. That happens with how you support people too. So let's start from the beginning. Start from the basics, which is just getting your numbers, right? Get your metrics. Understand what your metrics are. So these metrics go from the beginning. So what is your demographics? What does that look like in your company, right? That is super basic. You can export that. Like it's so easy. I want to know what the average age is, right? And then the distribution of that. And then on top of it, you really want to, you have all these quarterly reports of, your EAP usage, your drug benefit usage, your short-term, long-term disability usage, your other sorts of sick days, when people are using flex time. Just get those usage numbers. Just look at the trends. I'm not asking you to do much. So just, first of all, just get those numbers, right? And then once you have those numbers, don't try to crunch it on your own. It's okay. It's okay, right? Like, let the people who know this guide you through it, right? So get the subject expert support. You can really talk to your benefits provider. You can talk to your insurance company. You can talk to your colleagues if you do go to one of those team groups, or if you're in your industry and then you do sharing of best practice, that's really good too. But or if you don't have any of those, give us a call. Really, give us a call. We can help you for all of those, and to give you insights on, what does it mean when my average age is like 48? Oh, that's interesting. Is it a bimodal in distribution? Okay, what does that mean for my trend for my drug usage? Be open to learning a little, right? You don't have to have all the answers. Let the subject experts, and I know my data team is happy to help anybody, because we're educators in this as well. So, and I'm sure the same thing happens for any of your other vendors or any of your colleagues as well. They're happy to share best practices. And then when you have learned a little, just take little bits and pieces. This is kind of the same principle as micro and mini. Go and improve and customize your offering over time, right? You don't have to implement everything within the next 48 hours. Most likely you won't be able to. But take that little piece and say, oh, okay, well, interesting. You have implemented a system where all of your all of your strategy team does a meditation break. Okay, that's interesting. What has that done for you? What are your metrics? You're realizing, they're taking less sick days. That's interesting. Let me try that. You tried that. Oh, it worked for me. Great, awesome. So that has improved my sick days too. What else have you done? You've introduced a reward system, a recognition system. How do you do that? Okay. Well, I can do that too. Who did you roll it out with? Okay. The best team to roll it out with is let's say your call center. I'm going to do that. That's improved my sales metrics. Great. So you just do them bit at a time with a overarching technology system. Like Optimity, it's all automatically tracked. But you don't have to have a technology system. You can just do it on your own, right? Like, do these practices, and then you're able to do that too. But as long as you know where you started, right, where your metrics are at the beginning, and then you take a look at how other people are doing it and how their numbers have moved, and then implement it within yours, looked at it, 30 days later, 90 days later, right? And then see what happened to yours. Then you can go, you're being completely data-driven. You're being data-driven, and you're able to improve and really customize, because not everything is going to work for you. Customize what you do over time, right? Sometimes the nice thing about having a digital platform is that when you customize, when you improve, it's real time, it's instantaneous, it's all automated in terms of capturing the metrics. It's also really cheap, because you're not spending the time. It's cheap in the sense that, it doesn't take you 3 weeks to get the vendor in to, for example, financial wellness. We help so many companies with their financial wellness education, because all they have to do is say, the metrics are so easy. It's like, are we doing it or not? Okay, no, we're not doing it. Okay, fine. What's the best way of doing financial metrics? And we suggest, a couple of different modules, different approaches, and then they just go in and switch it on, and then they track it over the next 4 weeks, and they say, okay, so I have now 40% of my staff that's completed their modules, and their feedback on the our engagement surveys, or on their feedback with the actual modules, is really good. So great. Now we're going to push it over time. All of a sudden, you're already tons and tons better than others. And it's so cheap, because you didn't spend a single dollar really on an additional program, and the amount of planning for you is really smart too, because it takes you like literally 15 minutes to say, I haven't done it, I'm going to do it, this is what I'm going to track, and you just literally toggle it on, right? Very easy. So go data driven, whichever way you do. I think I talked about the Optimity system without fully explaining it. So I'm just going to take a moment to explain what it is. It's a fully integrated, like, employee success ecosystem. It's made up of 5 different parts. The first part is really the aggregation from what your employees are currently doing. So this is devices or health apps or meditation apps or so anything that they're currently learning from, everything from Fitbit to Jawbone to Strava, whatever people are currently doing, right? They're doing stuff for self-improvement, both on the health side and mental and on the job side. So what we do is that we're a siphon. We're a siphon for all that data, and we capture, okay, so these people are doing all these things, and we siphon it together into one centralized dashboard. So it brings me to the second part, which is a centralized admin dashboard and database. So now you have basically, all of a sudden, oh gosh, I had no idea that out of my 300 employees, 72 of them are already on a wearable device. So I probably shouldn't buy a wearable device for everybody. Or that I know that, 57 of them are currently doing stuff for their mental health. That's great. We should probably continue to pump that up or whatnot. So it brings it together in a centralized dashboard and database. You can also use the centralized admin part to customize the mobile experience. So this is really taking the mobile experience from a kind of passive web-based intranet, which is kind of a thing in the past, right? Like, when's the last time that you went on your intranet? And that's you, right? Because you probably built half the modules in there and created all the content. So so people are not really going on the website a lot, but people do. They're checking their mobiles, right? Every 5 minutes. You probably checked your mobile once or twice during this talk. So it's important to have a cultural and customized mobile experience. So you can change the logo, you can change the content, the color, so to really, really match your company's experience, all the content, and it's automatically deployed through any mobile device that they choose. So Apple, Android, Amazon Web, Blackberries, and all that is really controlled in a centralized fashion by the admin board. The fourth thing that it has is a feedback system. So right now you're pushing out your content. You're saying, hey, everybody, we've just offered a new mental health module through our mobile experience. And you can push notification to that, right? That's really great. And then you can also take that, so that becomes your feedback system. And you can take that information and create a health risk assessment. So this is a new dynamic type of health risk assessment. You can take all these new numbers, new inputs, you can collect more information, you can collect information in real time. So for example, how many cigarettes did you have, or what's your actual, how many drinks did you have in the last week? You can ask it very inexpensively through the mobile experience if you want to. We have our own so this whole thing basically is Optimity. Everything that I've described to you is Optimity. With the feedback system, we actually have a partnership with a device company called Xiaomi. They're the second largest device company in the world, and we have their premium devices. They're called the Amazfits. They vibrate, so you can receive calls. They do steps and heart. So it's definitely through a connected wearable. So just a really great option to add to your Optimity platform system. And then on the other side, with the health risk assessment, the dynamic one, we do it through a insurance algorithm partner called Viva Metrica. So that basically ties it back into insurance risk, which we can talk about, or if you are interested in talking about that too. For the employee perspective, it's important when you do employee success or wellness or education to keep two perspectives in mind. The first one is the employee, right? It's always the employee. And Optimity is really marketed to them as a coach in their pocket. It's a physician, nutritionist, chiropractor, corporate coach, fitness trainer in their pocket. And it's content that is scientifically relevant but designed for their workflow, designed for that, wherever they are. But the other side too is that you should be selfish. You should be thinking about this too. There's a group. Something is very different when the employee is in a group setting, and also when you, the HR team, the people manager team, is managing a group, right? So we want to optimize the experience for both of you, right? So both on the employee consumption side, but also on the admin side, you want to make it really easy to do more with less, to be able to collect all this information and make decisions from it. But then from the employee side, very easy for them to consume that. So let's move into the 3 case studies because I'm sure that will help you really apply the 5 guiding principles that we talked about before. The first one we're going to talk about is PwC, and it's really interesting because PwC has a relatively young workforce, knowledge workers, and they've been using the Optimity platform with their audit team during the busy season. So this really, what we notice with them is, I'm going to talk about 3. One is that the employees self-selected into a lot of mental health. Focus, meditation, emotional intelligence, hugely, hugely popular for them. They're using it for a lot of social and cultural use cases. People created like micro communities. There was a group that started studying their CFA together. There's a group that started learning like do salsa together. And what we're able to do is really turn it into a 1-person, 2 people type of mini group into a larger group that they can push out to their specific client team, or they can push out to the full organization so that it grows their own initiative. This is a very grassroots type of thing. They had 11 different admins from different departments. Some of them are like senior analysts. Some of them are junior managers. There are partners that came onto this as admins as well. But they really kind of pushed the cultural aspects and kind of connecting people from different places and growing that micro community, and people really bonded. And another thing that PwC was really good at was focusing on the metrics, focusing on the numbers, knowing that the highest growth areas for just consumption of it is around both financial wellness but also mental health. There's a lot of biologics coming onto the market for depression, for there's some heart disease and other stuff as well, but because they're a young workforce, they're seeing a lot of mental health type of benefits claims, drug claims. So they've really focused their offering and customized it for themselves and their own culture and their own business demands. So I really love how they're using it. They reached 74% participation right after 3 months. It's really kind of been a rising story for them. So a very, very beautiful application of those 5 guiding principles we talked about. Another one, the second one that we were chatting about a little bit earlier, is Ontario Centres of Excellence with 9 different sites and really 2 HR resources to manage it all, very efficient. They valued, the how easy it is, the ease of use, like how easy it is to use the Optimity system. What they're able to do is really schedule in a lot of those announcements and to really move beyond emails, right, into push notifications. they've actually reduced the number of emails sent, and they reduced the amount of time they're spending kind of coordinating all these different activities. They used to spend about 4 or 5 hours per week on creating these content, but they now spend 15 minutes. So really, like 5 hours down to 15 minutes into creating these announcements. And once you do realize that when you create one announcement on the Optimity system, it gets sent to all kinds of different devices. And actually, there's one checkbox where you can actually create an email from it. And when you do that, it automatically creates a beautiful email template with all the information that you have in their time specificity, where the location is. Like, for example, they did the thing with United Way, and it actually helped them drive. Like, they had about just a little bit under 10% participation, but it boosted up to over 30% of their people were coming onto this. So it's really about kind of that time, right information at the right time on people's mobiles that kind of push people to do, to take action. They also configured a lot of the content to what they needed, because they have 9 different offices. People have different demands. They have different type of equipment, or even what's close to them proximity in terms of like places to get food or gyms and stuff like that. So they're able to customize all of that in a one centralized place easily for them. Really good employee feedback. Right? To them, they really want to do better. Just be an amazing organization as they are. Be very powerful with just 2 people, but to be able to offer all these initiatives. They did like an Easter egg hunt. Instead of doing 1 step challenge, now they're doing 2 per year. Stuff like that. It's just so nice to be able to see how they're able to actually have more initiatives when they're spending less time on it. So really, really love how they're using it. The last one that I'm going to talk about is a CST. And CST is just doing a great job. They've always supported their employees. They did a lot of on-site programs, from really training. They do like an annual sales training conference, and then they have like, they have a walking club, all these great things, all these great pieces. But they were never able to kind of bring everyone together. So one thing that we did really well for them is to kind of bring that all together using a mobile, right? Because everyone has their own phones, and although some of them are on Blackberries, that was a great challenge too, because they, not everyone had iOS or Android devices. So we're able to really bring that all together and get to that really high adoption very quickly. Like, they hit 80% participation within the first month. It was just a superb job. And now they have support, not only, kind of top down and driven on the organizational level, but also peer to peer, right? Having lots of cross-pollination between all the different silos. They have, the call centers as well, which is a really interesting use case. Recognition. So they've employed a recognition platform, recognition reward system using Optimity, and it's really kind of boosted how employees engage. Really, like, their big driving point was to get the engagement scores up, because it kind of flatlined for a little while. So now it's really, really, really positive for both their performance. And it's really, Sherry talks about how it's about the quality of the service, not really about the output volume. Both are important, but of course, it's better quality with already a steady volume is the best way of doing it. So using a employee success platform to manage culture, to get that grassroots, get all the organization involved in it very quickly, and recognize those behaviors, and to include everyone is so important. So also love that. I hope this was helpful to you. It's really talking about your hard skills, your technical skills. It's only 10-20% of what makes you successful overall in your careers, in your lives. And that's true for all of your employees too. All the other things, what you do on the daily in terms of exercise, what do you think about? What do you eat? Drinking water, just being social, having a conversation, and just training your mind and body, and having that all sync to your calendar, sync to your life is so important. And we really take the time to think about the context and fitting it into your lives, and deploying a lot of machine learning, and um, letting technology do a lot of the heavy lifting for you, and you just focus on being your best self. If you ever want to talk about a little bit more, or actually, if you want to see a demo, where our team is really, really happy. I have such amazing team that is really dedicated into customizing the experience because every organization is different, but customizing it for you so that you can see it in your own context. So feel free to just go on the website, myoptimity.com, and it's like the biggest button there. Just request a demo, and we're happy to walk you through it. It's completely free.